that match. We all know we match, but we don't know where, so I don't know what part of the country I'm going to be at, but we'll see.
I'm nervous but excited and also just really proud of everyone, so it's going to be exciting to see where everyone goes.
Happy match day!
Almost every other professional in this country, when they finish their training, gets to do something doctors are quietly not allowed to do: walk into a job, look at the offer, and negotiate the pay. The system that takes that away is called the match, and there's a fight in Congress over whether it should exist in its current form. Start with the match itself, because most people outside medicine have never heard of it. When a medical student finishes school and is ready to become a working doctor, they don't go out and apply for jobs the ordinary way, sending resumes, weighing offers, picking the best one. Instead, every graduating student in the country enters a single national system run by a private nonprofit called the National Resident Matching Program, the NRMP, which has done this since the early 1950s. The student interviews at programs and ranks them in order of preference. The programs rank the students back, and an algorithm takes all of those lists at once and pairs everyone up in a single binding sweep. The result is binding. When the algorithm matches a student to a program, the student is obligated to go, and the program is obligated to take them. There's no counteroffer, no negotiating the salary, no shopping the result around for better pay. On one morning every March, tens of thousands of new doctors open an envelope and learn at the same moment where they'll live and work for the next 3 to 7 years. In the most recent cycle, more than 50,000 applicants competed for around 43,000 positions, which means thousands of qualified people, usually close to $9,000, match nowhere and are left scrambling. The system wasn't built to trap anyone, it was built to fix an earlier problem. Before the match existed, hospitals competed for students earlier and earlier, pressuring them into accepting offers years before graduation, sometimes with deadlines that gave a student hours to decide their future. The match was designed to bring order to that, letting students and programs reveal their true preferences without being forced into an early bad deal. The algorithm at its center is a well-regarded piece of mathematics, the kind of work recognized with a Nobel Prize in economics, and it does protect students from that older form of pressure. The word monopoly comes from what happened next. In 2002, a group of former residents filed an antitrust lawsuit arguing under the Sherman Act that the match and the institutions around it suppressed the wages of resident doctors, that funneling every new physician through one binding system with no room to negotiate held pay artificially low. The case never reached a full verdict because in 2004, Congress passed a narrow provision tucked into a larger pension funding law, granting the match an exemption from antitrust scrutiny. The case collapsed, and that exemption is what's back in the spotlight now. In May of 2025, the House Judiciary Committee held a hearing titled "The Match Monopoly." The committee's account was stark. A first-year resident earns roughly $66,000 to $68,000 a year while routinely working 80-hour weeks, often carrying around $200,000 in student debt, with little power to negotiate any of it. Two physicians who spoke to the committee's investigation described the arrangement as a form of indentured servitude, and that phrase belongs to them, two doctors characterizing their own experience. It's their description, not a finding of fact. A bill to repeal the exemption, the Restoring Rights of Medical Residents Act, was reintroduced that same spring. There's a serious case on the other side. The NRMP, which did not testify at that hearing, has argued in its own public response that the framing misunderstands what the exemption protects. In its account, the exemption shields the matching algorithm specifically, the mechanism that pairs students to programs, and repealing it would not, on its own, raise any resident's salary. The reason resident pay sits where it does, the NRMP argues, has more to do with how residency training is funded. The bulk of it flows through Medicare, and that funding is capped by Congress, which constrains the money available to pay residents long before any algorithm enters the picture. Remove the match's protection, the organization warns, and the likely result isn't a bidding war for new doctors, but a return to the chaotic early pressure recruiting the match was built to end, possibly with smaller class sizes. The AAMC, for its part, notes that it doesn't operate the match and that it supports a fair matching process while taking no position on resident pay through this fight. Over the whole debate hangs a projected physician shortage that could reach as high as 86,000 doctors within the next decade, which makes many parties cautious about disrupting the system that currently places new physicians. Underneath the legal question sits a different one. The match doesn't set the bargain that residents work long hours for relatively low pay during training. It distributes people into a bargain that already exists. However, the courts or Congress rule on the exemption, that underlying arrangement stays in place. The monopoly debate is largely a debate about the door. The conditions of training on the other side of that door are a separate matter that the legal fight doesn't directly settle. So here's what I take away from this. Whether you're headed into medicine or you just want to understand the people who will one day be treating you. When a system has been around long enough, we tend to stop asking whether it's right and start asking only whether it's legal. And those are different questions. The match might survive every court in the country and still leave a training system that runs on the exhaustion of its youngest and most indebted members. Legal and good aren't the same word. If you're a student walking into this, walk in with your eyes open. Your first job comes from an algorithm rather than an offer. The pay is set before you arrive, and the system, for better and worse, was built to protect you from something older and uglier than the deal you're getting. And if you're simply someone who'll need a doctor someday, the way we treat doctors while they train doesn't stay in the hospital. It follows them to your bedside. The debate over the match is worth having. It's just worth having about the whole thing, not only the lock on the door, but the room it opens onto. Subscribe for more.